patrons. Thank you. You make this show possible. But rumble.com/leadcamp, I'm going to get into yet more information suggesting maybe Israel knew this attack was going to happen, but also just other, crazy propaganda. I'm going to see how much I can squeeze in before I run out of time. And it's all at rumble.com/leadcamp, as well as leadcamp.net, which is my locals page. And while I switch over the windows, I just want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, I have my live stand-up comedy event, While Seated. I always have to add the While Seated. I'm not going to actually stand for it, but it is stand-up comedy, because stand-up comedy means it's a certain kind of comedy that you do when you do stand-up comedy, and I've been doing it for 25 years. And so it feels very much like stand-up comedy, even though I might be seated.
So I signed up for this, and I loaded Zoom onto my phone, and it was the same night of Birdie's gig at Prism in Kingston. And I thought, oh, it's easy. I'll be on a bus, and I can just log in and listen. And I tried, but Zoom app is really hard to set up on the phone, and I missed my train, and I ended up on the train because the buses weren't going to get me there on time, and so it didn't work. But he's doing these comedy shows, and he's doing them I'm trying to get the time right for people on this side of the Atlantic.
Anyway, the event is, you can get tickets at leecamp.simpletix.com. The hour is called Fear of Death and Other Small Matters, and it's got everything in it. It's got laughs, it's got tears. It is the best hour of comedy that.
The bit I caught was terrible. It was awful. It wasn't going anywhere. But it was only 15-20 seconds of it, and then I gave up and concentrated on getting on the right train.
That has ever been done. I might be exaggerating on that part, but still, it is a good time. leecamp.simpletix.com. And let me just fix the streams here. It's this Saturday and Wednesday. I do the second Wednesday show in order to do a time that is better for Europeans, because.
But there's another way you can do a kind of dialogue, real time streaming. It's really expensive. You've got to have a good connection. You've got to be on your toes. You don't have time to digest what's being said. There's a better way of doing interactive video. I'm trying to show right now what it is. So I'm going to leave Lee Camp. This whole story is quite good. The first part of it is with DAPL people about the Dakota pipeline and the Standing Rock demonstrations and things, talking about how all that happened and how it's still going on. And the second part is with a lady who's trying to help people in East Palestine after the train derailment. There's some really sick stuff going on there. So anyway, watch it. This is Lee Camp's Locals, but you can get it on his Rumble channel. So I wanted to switch and talk about what the last few things I posted. Just again to show maybe my daughter, my family, somebody, how you have to read what I write or what I post on this blog. So I'll start with the order in which I posted things was this David Lynch. I came across this video last night on my YouTube recommendations, and I'm to talk about YouTube and recommendations and viewing history and things. YouTube has a history collection of the last 5,000 videos you've watched. I think it's 5,000. So if you go to the YouTube page, but if your internet is slow like mine, it takes a rather long time to do much. But the YouTube history lists all your videos. But not only are they the videos that you've watched recently, it includes videos that you just happen to have your mouse. If you hover your mouse over a YouTube video, it starts playing. For instance, if I hover my mouse over this video, it starts playing. So although I haven't actually watched that video, that will now appear if I refresh my history. Ah, it doesn't. Sometimes it does. So YouTube kind of populates your history with things that you didn't watch, is what I was trying to show, but it's behaving itself now. Maybe it takes a while for these things to come in anyway, so not everything in here is stuff that I've actually watched. Although all of this these are the things that I watched yesterday. And I rely on it because you can search your watch history here. So if I remember that I saw something a few months ago, it's usually still in my history. The other day, YouTube was saying, delete your history, give yourself a chance and delete your viewing history and get new recommendations. But if I did that, I would lose. That's not how I want to work. I'd rather YouTube didn't pollute my video history with stuff that I didn't watch than tell me to delete it, because I need it. It's my data. I can't remember all the details about everything. Often I just remember that I saw something and that it was about this, and it has a significance to me, and then I can look it up and maybe watch it again or make a reference to it. And so that's what I was able to do when I came across this David Lynch interview. The link here is to the full interview. I haven't watched the full interview. I've watched about 20 minutes of it, and it's a very good one. It's got a lot of the history of David Lynch's early films, and it's got a little clip of an interview interviews with other people. For example, he did Elephant Man. Now the name of the director's escaped me. I don't know why. That's terrible. Mel Brooks. So an interview with Mel Brooks talking about David Lynch and what was good about Eraserhead. That was interesting. I hadn't heard that angle on David Lynch's films before. So it's definitely worth watching that full interview. But the reason that I put this here was that I've been talking about David Lynch and television series and British TV, and so I found this episode of The Wombles, and it's Tobermory on television. And if you actually find, I don't know if I can do that now, if you find The Wombles, the Wellcome Genome Campus, I don't need that, I'll go to the Wombles official channel. Look at this. That's right, we're back and we're here to help, here to inspire you all to recycle, reuse and rethink the way you live. Join us to make the world a better place.
The Wombles of Wimbledon, common are we, making good use of the things that we find, things that the everyday folks leave behind. On Wimbledon Common, where the Wombles live, Bungo and Orinoco are tidying up. What have they found? Looks like an old television set. It's a cupboard. It's a sort of a cupboard. That's what it is. There's a sort of a cupboard with a glass bit at the front of it.
So they go and they take it to Tobermory, who knows everything. Tobermory
He knows everything. Come on.
explains what it is.
What is it? About 6 foot long and 14 foot wide, and it.
And there's Father Bulgaria,
Come in.
but they don't mention him by name.
Hello. We found this thing dumped in the bushes. What is it, Tobermory?
So I was glad to see that because I've been thinking about the Wombles and this exercise of trying to just get goods to where they're needed. So I included a clip about making movies with Dean Hurley and David Lynch, and that was recorded at midnight, midnight, in a field towards halfway between Elstree and Radlett. And Elstree and Boreham Wood are like the kind of centre of British TV. The Elstree studios, the BBC, used to have a big place at Elstree or at Boreham Wood, but apparently don't have it anymore. So that's why I've been thinking about TV and stuff. So that's that first video, you watch a bit of it. So, oh dear, this is awful. Just went past the reason I got smudges on my face is that my hands were dirty from picking up a hubcap, a plastic hubcap that was covered in carbon from brake emissions. And I was thinking about Rhodesia and Rhodesian camouflage and crap like that, so I camouflaged myself and I left the hubcap next to the RNOH. It's still there on the wall if you go around the corner by the main exit, the corner into Wood Lane. And I recorded this about few days later, I think, I went for a walk in the night down to, after this guy told me I was schizophrenic, so I went and he said I should go and check myself in at Northwick Park, but I thought he said Northwood Park. And when I looked up Northwood Park, it was mind-blowingly interesting stuff about the attack on Libya being directed from there. Anyway, so I went to Northwick Park and I made this by a tree. Could we make an episode of Sapphire and Steel about Arthur A. Wood? In terms of Arthur A. Wood was a scout, and he's got a bench dedicated to him outside, dedicated to his memory outside the RNOH, where they have a scanner. The scanners, it's an NHS hospital, and it's an MRI scanner, but it's in a truck. It's in a truck outside. It's run by a generator. It's the whole thing looks like it's called their MRI center, but it's a truck parked by these old falling down porta cabins that are used as a storehouse. Really is desperate. The way the NHS works. So I was thinking about Sapphire and Steel, which was a really amazing. When I think about how I felt when I saw those episodes, I loved that series. But when you actually look at the way they did it entirely on sound. It was, I guess, it was BBC, I think it was, BBC Radiophonic Workshop sound, and a minimal amount of costume, which would have come from other stuff, that they had lying around left over from films like, I don't know, I don't remember those films about World War I flyers that I used to love. I can't remember the name of it. It was a series about pilots in the First World War. And I guess, Second World War stuff. And so there's lots of costume that was around at the time that they made Sapphire and Steel. So they did it with that, and with camera work, lighting and sound, and hardly any props. They didn't have models, they didn't have CGI, they didn't need any of that. They just tilt the camera, play the sound of a fighter jet going into a dive, machine guns, and David McCallum sitting at a desk wearing a Second World War. It sounds stupid, but it worked. They were riveting, and as a kid I didn't mind any of that. It was all because it dragged you in so brilliantly. Anyway, I do recommend Sapphire and Steel. David, is it David McCallum? And I had seen something on YouTube about David McCallum, and only after I made this video, I looked it up, and he died on the 25th of September. Joanna Lumley. The X-Files just couldn't quite catch up. Sapphire and Steel was like the X-Files, but it was coherent. It actually had a purpose. It wasn't just a kind of a couple of people kind of randomly at sea in a tsunami of weird data. And so then I played this thing that I did a few days ago. Don't know what that beep was. I was talking to somebody today about how you can it's just Remade is a project in Park Royal, and it's nice. They've got a depot, and they've got a little, very tiny little depot. So you go and look up Remade in Park Royal. Now there's an associated project. Yes. So what? What is this? I don't care about this. What is this? What do I do? I can't go back. I wanted to search something. See, many local creatives are already developing innovative solutions. I need my glasses. Using the waste materials they find in the streets and skips of Park Royal, from turning abandoned ties into furniture, discarded coffee cups into 3D print sculptures, old Levi's into new fashion collections, and leather offcuts into sandals. So this is their hub. Boy, this is like having a 1200 baud modem. They have got a lot of stuff. Several of these studios, I don't know if those are the film studios. 4 tons of clay. That's what they did with that. And this is inside. I think these are inside the 41 to 43 Standard Road building. It's crowd-funded. So that's Remade in Park Royal. And they have very neatly stacked recovered materials, and they're there for people to take, I presume. And it's lovely. But how do you scale it up? So I go on and I talk about how that works for Park Royal, but these aren't my glasses. They belong to some lady, I guess. I found them in the street outside. How do we get people's glasses back to them when they lose them? They're in this really nice case. This is all just information. It's everything. It's only all we need is a way to exchange information, and for some reason we can't do it. So then that was several days ago, and then this was on Saturday.
Those guys work for a company contracted to community.
Sunday morning, sorry.
And they're pushing a fibre down an existing duct, but looks like the tree roots have cracked the duct, and so they're having to.
So the everything about live streaming, live data, and things like that isn't, to me, that's not the problem, and they're using this internet as a substitute for television. Because what I don't understand is my internet connection is rubbish here. Maybe it's just because I'm too far from the Wi-Fi. But Jimmy downstairs has a big flat screen TV, and he watches YouTube on it, and he gets absolutely top quality on this huge display all the time, whatever he watches. But I can't even get little, still images to come up in a reasonable time. Maybe it's just because my computer, I need to move my table to the door, but the house is ducted for cable TV and stuff, but those ducts aren't any use to me. I can't run RJ45 or whatever through them, so it would be much better to just have a direct network connection to the router downstairs, but I don't think I can start taking stuff off the wall and running cables. The data that we need seems to me more important is to get just the information that people want. It's fine, all the energy and materials that we need to produce stuff is one thing. If we can't even move the tiny bit of information, like I lost my glasses and I found somebody's glasses, how can I get them back to their owner? The owner very probably lives within half a mile of this place, so there's nothing there. Why? What the hell is the matter with us as people? What are we doing? And I thought, well, maybe it's because software is so hard to write. But I don't think that's the problem. The problem is that everybody is competing and scratching for money. That's what the problem is. Everybody is scrabbling a little bit of money to get through the next few days or whatever. And I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. That is a waste of human potential. And it's disgusting. It's been going on for centuries. That is not how human beings live. Everything is wrong with it. Everything. So you can go and see that. Then the next thing I mentioned in that there are these two aspects of what we're trying to do. We have a problem with material resources. We also have a problem with kind of intellectual flows. What things mean and the value of art and things is something that's determined in the future. You can't do it before that art has been created. And I mentioned this Russian couple who have for the last 40 years been working on a film called The Overcoat. And it's a story by Gogol, and it's very, very interesting. Even in the history, even just the history of Gogol himself and how he ended his life and how his last work was presented, shall we say. Definitely watch it. It's this video by Atrocity Guide. Yeah, this one.
Although not well known in the western parts of the world, Russian filmmaker Yuri Norstein is considered by many to be one of the greatest animators of all time. He also hasn't produced a complete work in 40 years. Despite the lapse of output, he hasn't been inactive. With the collaboration of his wife and fellow animator Francesca Yabusova, the two have been working inside a small rental flat which they've renovated into a workshop after being fired from their animation studio, to adapt a feature-length film called The Overcoat, or as it's called in Russian, Shinyel. With both of them 80 years old, they have been working on this film for over half their lives.
And it's well worth watching the whole thing. But if you watch The Tale of Tales beforehand, it's the link above, you get a taste of what it is that they're trying to do, and the level of animation that they're doing in The Overcoat is way and above what they did in The Tale of Tales. And then there's Hedgehog in the Fog, which was done before. It was done while they had a job. While they were at the studios in Moscow, before they went it alone. So I wrote to Cyberduck, who are a company in Elstree that do cyber. They contract for systems, web applications and things for governments and companies, and they're always advertising for developers. And I told them I had some ideas about how to go about solving this problem of fragmentation in the software development space, because every time you get a new technology, take up of that technology depends on having kind of developer mind share, and also on having commercial support from users, corporate users, and the whole market's got fragmented, so one developer can never learn all of these technologies, so developers get channeled into specialisms. It fragments the job market, it fragments the technology market. So you need some way around it, and I think the way around it is to start at the top, to start with the formal syntax for specifying business logic and languages, and developing it down. And that way developer effort can be better distributed as well. You can leave, there will always be uses for people who know certain technologies very well, and instead of them having to look for jobs for particular employers who happen to need their vertical specialism, they ought to be able to do more general work if they were producing interpretations of formal specifications, in particular the systems that they know. Then their work can be used by everyone who's using those specifications whenever they need that particular concrete instantiation of the abstract specification. But this means you changing the market significantly. Somebody's now knocking at the door, so I have to stop.